Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kristen, and in today's video, we're going to freak out about all the books I've read so far in 2021. I cannot believe we're already halfway through 2021. I feel like this year just began. I feel like it's still 2020 because of the whole pandemic and that whole year being taken away from us. But alas, we are here. We are halfway through 2021, and I am so ready to reflect on the books that I've read so far in 2021. I have read 42 books so far. My goal for the whole year is 75 books, so I am definitely on track to reach that goal. I wish I had already read like 50 books at this point, so then I could say I might be able to reach the 100 books goal, but I don't know if we're gonna make it. I still have a whole 6 months left to read lots of books, so I'm not giving up yet, but I am definitely proud of the progress I have been making so far with my reading. Although I did look through my Goodreads and I was like, what did I read this year? And I was like, I feel like I've read nothing. And there's still so many more books that I want to read that I haven't got to yet. I have been on BookTube for a little bit over a year now, and I've just been reflecting on this year as well in terms of my channel. And I realized that the 2020 mid-year book freakout tag was my second video that I ever posted on YouTube, and I'm back here making a second round of that, so it's just very full circle for me right now. So I am very excited to talk about the books that I've read so far in 2021, my favorite books, my not so favorite books, my favorite characters, and all in between. But before I do that, make sure that you subscribe to my channel down below and that your notification bell is turned on so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. Also, linked down in the description box below is all of my social media accounts. So my Twitter, my Bookstagram, my Goodreads, and my Patreon if you want to join us over at the coffee shop. Let's get right into it, okay? So the first question is, what is the best book you've read so far in 2021? And I truly believe that everybody who has been following my channel since at least January of this year is going to know my answer, and that is going to be Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. This was one of the very first books I read this year since it came out at the beginning of this year, and of course I loved it, ate it right up, and now it's my favorite book ever. I loved it so much to the point that I have a dedicated book review of this book. Lovely. As I was saying, I love this book so much to the point that I have a dedicated book review of Concrete Rose on my channel if you would like to watch that and see a very in-depth review of what I really enjoyed about the book. Concrete Rose is the prequel to The Hate U Give, which is also by Angie Thomas. In The Hate U Give, we're following 16-year-old Stark Carter, but in Concrete Rose, we are following her father, Maverick Carter, when he was a teenager himself. We're getting a very in-depth view of Maverick Carter's life and his journey from boyhood to manhood, despite all the obstacles that he faced living in the hood, having a gang legend father, and having to figure out if he wanted to follow in that path and join a gang and sell drugs, or if he wants to be a good father and raise his children that he has very young. Maverick Carter was just the perfect character. He's so strong and resilient and loving and thoughtful, and just all the adjectives Maverick Carter was. He was still able to find happiness and success despite his background, despite the obstacles that were continuously thrown at him in his teenage years. And I just ate every page up. I ate every piece of dialogue up because Angie Thomas is just so good at creating characters in an atmosphere that just seems so real that I felt like I was in Garden Heights with all these characters living their lifestyle. Question number 2 is, what is the best sequel that you've read so far in 2021? I am not the best reader of sequels unless I absolutely love and adore a series and I want to read the next installment like right that second. So I really have not read many sequels in 2021. But of the sequels that I have read this year, my favorite is definitely gonna have to be Take a Hint, Denny Brown by Talia Hibbert, which is the second book in the Brown Sisters trilogy. I've read all 3 of the books now, and this is the only book that I gave a 5 out of 5 stars because I truly loved everything about it. And I continue to recommend this book to people who ask me for romance recommendations. In this book, we are following Danica Brown, who is very successful in life. She knows what she wants academically and professionally, yet when it comes to romance, she's been there, done that. She doesn't want to have anything to do with that because her past experiences have all been failures. So honestly, she just wants a perfect friends with benefits situation, and she finds that with her co-worker, Zafir Ansari. who is a security guard. And during the workplace fire drill, everything goes wrong. Basically, a viral video of Zephyr saving Danica in the elevator goes viral. People begin to assume that the two of them are dating, and so they begin to fake date, and then eventually things happen. And yeah, I absolutely loved everything about this book. I loved Danica's character because I understand where she's coming from and her background and her past relationship experiences. I love Zephyr's character. His character discusses a lot of mental health issues and what he's going through with his past as well. And that's addressed in a really good way, in my opinion. And the two of them together are just perfect. They're spicy. They balance each other out and all the things that you would want in a relationship. So yeah, I gave that one 5 out of 5 stars, and it is my favorite sequel of 2021. And I do plan on doing better with sequels for the rest of this year because I truly am terrible at reading sequels in series and I want to get better. So I'm going to make it a goal of mine for the second half of the year to read those sequels and stop starting series that I'm not going to finish or that's going to take me years to finish when it really should not. Question number 3 is, what is a new release that you haven't read yet but want to? And that for me is going to be Blood Like Magic by Liesl Sandberry, which came out in June. So it's really a fresh release and I really want to get to this one as soon as possible. There are many more new releases that I want to get to and haven't gotten to yet, but I feel like Blood Like Magic has been on my radar for the longest time out of all the other books. It was mentioned in my most anticipated releases of 2021 video that I did at the end of 2020. So I just think that this is the book that I should include and highlight in this video. In this book, we're following Voya Thomas, who is a Black witch. Her family are all witches, and that alone has sold me because Black witches, yes, please give me all of that vibe. It is time for Voya to go through her calling, a trial that every witch must pass in order to come into their powers. Voya didn't expect to do was fail that test, but luckily her ancestors are allowing her a second chance at her calling. The task that her ancestors give her, though, is to kill her first love, and if she fails again, every witch in her family will be stripped of their power. And so, of course, Voya wants to pass this exam because she doesn't want to be the reason why her whole family loses their powers. But the problem is that Voya has never been in love. And she's like, no problem. Let me just find somebody, fall in love, and then kill him. But the problem is that she actually does fall in love with Luke. That literally is such an intriguing synopsis because I couldn't fathom the choice of having to kill my first love or save my family's magic. Like, that would just be rough. Like, obviously, I would choose my family because family comes first, period. But, you know, it'll be hard. Like, somebody that you've built a relationship with and you've fallen in love with them and you have to go around and just, like, kill them. Like, ooh, I can't. So I'm super excited to see how Voya decides and what happens. I think this is supposed to be a series. Look at me trying to start another series when I just said that I was going to focus on sequels. I literally never learn. Question 4 is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And for that, I'm going with Kingdom of the Cursed by Kara Maniscalco, which is the sequel to Kingdom of the Wicked, which I read a couple months ago, gave 5 stars, loved everything about Kingdom of the Wicked, and I just automatically needed Kingdom of the Curse, like, right away. Part of me wishes that I waited until October when Kingdom of the Curse is going to be released, but I'm also happy that I read Kingdom of the Wicked already because that book was chef's kiss, and I think everybody should read that book. Kingdom of the Wicked follows 2 twin witch sisters, Emilia and Victoria, who are witches that live among humans in secret. One day, Emilia finds her twin sister Victoria brutally murdered, and she is determined to figure out who murdered her sister and why. Emilia does turn to dark magic and summons one of the wicked princes of hell to help her figure out what happened to her twin sister. Definitely worth a read. An amazing book, amazing writing, amazing banter between characters. I ate that book up, and the ending of Kingdom of the Wicked really had me on the edge of my seat because wow, it really went in a way that I was not expecting, but that I'm not mad about, and I truly am excited to see how that is going to play out in Kingdom of the Cursed. Second place of this question of most anticipated release of 2021 is definitely going to have to be Jade Legacy by Venti, which is the third and final book, I think, of the Jade City trilogy. Absolutely loved Jade City so much. I gave that one 5 out of 5 stars. Jade War I gave, I think, a 4 out of 5 stars. So I really am enjoying this series, and I definitely am excited for Jade Legacy to come out. Question 5 is your biggest disappointment of the year so far. And I definitely have an answer to this one. Happily Ever Afters by Elise Bryant. I unfortunately had to give that book 2 stars because I just did not like many things about that book at all. In this book, we are following 16-year-old Tessa Johnson, who has never quite felt like the main character in her own life. The only place that she is the main character is in her writing. She is a romance novel writer. And when she is accepted into the creative writing program at a prestigious art school, she's finally excited to let her story shine. But when she goes to her first workshop and at the beginning of the school year, she faces writer's block. She has literally nothing to write. So her best friend Caroline has a solution for her. Tessa needs to have a real life love story. And Tessa decides to try out this real love story with Nico, who looks like he just walked out of one of Tessa's romance novels and is the perfect Prince Charming. But as Tessa gets further along of finding love in her real life, she steps further and further away from who she is as a person and ruins a bunch of relationships and yada yada yada, right? So the reason why I did not like this book at all was because of Tessa. She's a trash character. She continued to make bad decisions and was a bad friend to Caroline, to Sam, her neighbor across the street, who also had a crush on her and things like that. And I think that was the point of the book because, again, she loses herself and then she finds herself again. But the way that it was done was just really bad. Like, it was just so frustrating and there were no redeeming factors for Tessa as a character. Therefore, I didn't care about her and then didn't care about the story anymore because I didn't like the main character. The purpose of Tessa trying to find love in real life was that so she can defeat her writer's block and have topics to write about in her romance novels again. And she's fighting imposter syndrome and doing all these powerful things, which drew me to the book in the first place because I face imposter syndrome. I've been in places in life where I didn't feel like I belonged. And I want to read about somebody else's journey about how they're going to overcome that and realize that their writing is good and they deserve to be at that prestigious art school. But no, it all got jumbled up in Tessa's task to find a dream man. And then Nico, the guy she's going after, is trash too. Like, he does not like her. He already has a girlfriend, so she's being like a homewrecker. And there's all these things. I'm like, why are you going for him when there's Sam, her neighbor across the street, who also has a crush on her and she likes him too. And she just pushes him to the side constantly so she can continue to go for Nico, which I understand to an extent because a lot of young adult, we like to go for the bad boy and things like that. But like, Nico is actually trash. Like, he's not a bad boy. Like, he's just a trash man who needs to get over himself. And Tessa's just not seeing this. It was a lot, and I just have not been frustrated over a book in so long that, yeah, I had to give it a 2 star. I didn't give it a 1 star because there were a couple redeeming factors in the book, including Sam, her neighbor, because he was just so sweet and loving and the best person ever that I was just like, how do you not see that he's the right one for you, like, right off the bat? But he sticks around and I loved his character. And I also love Tessa's brother's character. He has disability rep and everything, and he's just the sweetest thing ever. So that's why I gave it a 2 stars over a 1 star, because I liked those 2 characters. Everybody else is trash. That was Elise Bryant's debut novel. I think she has one coming out next year, and I don't know if I'm gonna read it, but maybe so. I don't know, guys. On the flip side, we have question 6, which is what was your biggest surprise of 2021? And that is going to be Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. I loved everything about this book, and I really did not expect that from me because this is not really the type of book that I'm drawn to. In Honey Girl, we are following Grace Porter, who has just graduated with her PhD in astronomy. She goes on a girls' trip to celebrate her accomplishment and ends up getting drunk and married to a woman named Yuki Yamamoto. This is so unlike Grace because she's a high achiever. She follows her plans. Grace is also struggling with parental expectations, her own expectations, struggling to find a job despite her having a PhD, and burnout. All things that are very real and relatable. But Grace does decide that she wants to get to know her wife. So she goes to New York City to be with Yuki and to get to know her. But one day reality comes crashing in and Grace has to face what she's been running from all these years. Grace is so relatable. She might just be the most relatable character that I've read in a long time. No, I haven't gotten drunk and gotten married to a random woman or a random person, but I do understand the struggles of burnout, dealing with your own expectations of yourself and outside expectations, and just trying to figure out what you're going to do with your life despite having accomplished so much already. I remember reading this book. I read it during one of our readathons, and at the end of the book, all I could say was, I want to go to therapy. I told Jaleesa, Mel, and Christine, they said, how was the book, Kristen? I was like, 5 out of 5 stars. Wow, amazing. And now I had the sudden urge to go make an appointment with a therapist because I realized that a lot of the problems that Grace is struggling with, I was going through at that time too, and still am today. So I still need to go and find me a therapist. I'm going to do that very soon, I promise, because there's things that your girl needs to work out in her head and in her heart and all the things in between. So yeah, it's a surprise because again, I just didn't expect to feel all the feels and feel like I want to get my life together after reading a book. So please, please, please read Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. This was her debut novel, so I will definitely be reading more of Morgan Rogers. Question 7 is, who is your favorite new author? This could be a debut author or just an author new to me. And for that one, I am definitely going with Carrie Maniscalco because I absolutely loved Kingdom of the Wicked, and I know she has more books that I can read. She has the Stalking Jack the Ripper series, which I haven't read yet, so I'm even more excited to read that series. Now that I know that I love Carrie Maniscalco's writing, yeah, I just can't wait for Kingdom of the Curse. And I will be starting the Stalking Jack the Ripper series very soon. I have the first book on my shelf, so I can start it whenever I want to. Question number 8 is my newest fictional crush, and I have 2 of those. One is like the super steamy, romantic, sexy man. The other one is the super sweet and just all around awesome man type. I don't know. So my sexy man who's just like fine, you know, that is going to be Kingston Wright from Truth or Dare by Danielle Allen. I mean, honey, that man is fine, okay? If y'all read that book, it's very short, so you can get through it very quickly. The things he was doing, I need that right now. Thank you. My other fictional crush, which is less rated R, he's my PG fictional crush. That's going to be Wes Jung from Made in Korea by Sarah Suk, because wow, he was just so sweet and kind and an overall perfect man that somebody in high school needs, you know? Like if you're in high school, I'd want you to date Wes Jung because he has a good head on his shoulder, and that's the type of man that I would go for in high school myself. Question 9 is my newest favorite character, and that's going to be Maverick Carter from Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas, because wow, that man is just a man. You know, he did everything he needed to do, make sure that he is good himself inside and make sure that he's happy with the man that he is, the person that he is. He's very strong, he's very resilient. He doesn't let many things get to him and has a good head on his shoulder and knows the goals that he has for himself in life. And despite his obstacles, having children early, having a father in jail, seeing his cousin murdered right in front of him, breaking up with his true love, and having baby mama drama, just everything that you can imagine happening happened to Maverick. He still rose up and made it to the other side, made it to that light at the end of the tunnel. And if you read The Hate U Give, if you've seen the movie, whatever, and you see the father that Maverick has become, just wow, I love that. So Maverick Carter is definitely my newest favorite character. Question 10 is the book that made you cry so far in 2021. We all know that your girl does not cry during books, but there is one book that almost made me cry, and it's gonna be Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. Once again, I just loved that book. It just felt so real, and I was really rooting for Maverick and feeling for him and just wanting the best for him that I just got tearful at some parts, but I didn't really cry. The book is just very emotional and emotion grabbing, so I'm going to mention that one for this question. But other than that, I haven't cried at any other books. So question 11 is a book that made you happy. And for this question, I have 2 books that I want to highlight for this one because it just made me so happy and I couldn't just pick one or the other. The first one of those is definitely going to be Amari and the Night Brothers by Baby Austin. This book just gave me all the feels. It's not necessarily the most happy book because there is like bullying involved, but the overall message and the overall just feeling the reader is supposed to get while reading this book is happy, and I just could not stop smiling while reading this book. Amari and the Night Brothers is a middle grade. This is B.B. Austin's debut novel, and he did an amazing job with this. Like, first, Let's look at the cover. Gorgeous. In this book, Amari Peters, she has just learned that her brother Quentin is dead, but she refuses to believe that. She believes that her brother is still alive. One day, Amari finds a ticking briefcase with an invitation to the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs, and she is certain that this is the key to figuring out what really happened to her brother Quentin. When she gets there, she realizes that all things magical, magicians, fairies, aliens, all the sorts, they're actually real, and they've just been hidden from the human world. In order to stay at this secret magical Bureau Supernatural Affairs place, Amari must compete for a spot. She has to overcome a bunch of bullies and people telling her that her brother is dead and she's worthless and she's not gonna make it. So it's a lot of things that she has to deal with, but she is completely and 100% determined to figure out what happened to her brother Quentin. So she's gonna do whatever it takes to stay there and get her a spot in this magic society. That was a definite 5 out of 5 star book. And I absolutely cannot wait until the second installment of this book comes out. I think the cover was just released to the world, and so I'm going to pop it in here. If so, I will recommend Amari and the Night Brothers to any and everybody of all ages, especially to the young kids who, of course, this book is meant for. But to everybody, I suggest this book because, one, we need to see this representation in middle grade, young adult, everything. But because this book is actually really good, it's stellar, and it deserves to be read by the entire world. The second book that has made it onto my books that made me happy so far is, of course, Blackout by 6 amazing authors. We have Danielle Clayton, Tiffany D. Jackson, Nick Stone, Angie Thomas, Nicola Yoon, and Ashley Woodfolk, who all got together during the pandemic to create this anthology book of 6 short stories about Black love and Black friendship during a New York City power outage, a blackout. I loved each and every one of the stories in this book. They all made me smile, they all made me laugh and be happy for the characters in this book. From best friends figuring out that they love each other, and from ex-couples reconnecting, and women realizing that they don't need a man to be happy, you know, like everything is just happening in this book. It just made me happy to see Black authors get together for a project and to create stories about Black love and just happiness. Like nothing sad is going on in these books. So I'm here for it, and it's just supposed to make everybody happy and be in their feels, and that's what it did for me. Question 12 is, what is the most beautiful book you've either bought or received so far this year? And I'm going to choose But Live Like Magic for this question because this cover is absolutely stunning. I always love to see a Black girl with her afro just in the breeze doing its thing. And yeah, so this is going to be the one that I choose. I'm super excited to get to this because, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this just seems like everything that it's supposed to give. And I hope I'm not disappointed because it's just so beautiful. This is definitely going to be a book that I showcase on my bookshelves. So again, hopefully I really love this book so that there's a reason why the book is showcased, despite she's gorgeous. Last question is, what books do I have to read by the end of this year? And boy, oh boy, do I have a lot of options, because as you see here, I have lots of books on these bookshelves and many of them have not been read yet. So I have a bunch of books that I need to get to by the end of this year. Some of those include Wings of Ebony by J.L., A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness, Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon, Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco, and I really need to finish up the 5th season trilogy. So the second book, Obelisk Gate, and the third book, The Stone Sky. I just named like 6 books right there, and that's not even half the books that I want to read before the end of the year. So you see why I need to get reading, and why I wish that I read so much faster than I do, and why I wish I had so much more time to read than I do, because I would literally just read all day and all night if I could. I definitely want to know what books are on your radar though. Like, what books are you excited about that are either new releases or just books that you need to get to by the end of the year? Like, let me know so that I can just continue to add books to my never-ending TBR. And with that, that is going to be the end of this video. I have had an amazing first half of 2021 reading year, and I'm excited to see what the rest of the year brings me in terms of books completed and books enjoyed. If you made it to the end of this video, we're not going to do an emoji this time, but I really do want you to let me know what books are on your radar. So let me know what books you're excited about and what books you think I would like and what I should put on my TBR. And with that, if you like this video, please give it a big like, comment down below, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and make sure your notification bell is turned on so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. Also, linked down below in the description box are my social media links Please join me over on Patreon if you would like to. We have an exciting buddy read going on this month and live shows in the work and reading sprints and all the fun things that are going to be happening with me on the Patreon. Thank you so much to my current patrons so far. I really appreciate y'all so much, as you know. I hope y'all are having an amazing day whenever you're watching this, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!